Samanta Chakravalesu Ragachantu Devata Sadhambang Nirajasya Sunantu Sadhamukadang Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta Dhamma Savana Kalu Ayam Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Dunnedas Ramyo Yatta Kama Nipatino Chittas Dhammato Sadhu Chittang Dhantam Svahan. The meaning of this is Dunnedas Ramyo. The mind is difficult to control. And it's fleeting, no? Yatta kama lipatin. It wanders at will. You have no control, it wanders at will. Chittassa dhammato sadhu. The control of the mind is good. And chittang dhamma sukavaha. The controlled mind is conducive to happiness. Now, these are words from the Dhammapada, Citta Vagga, verse 1, Citta Vagga. And why I chose this particular stanza, when I have this topic, and because the topic of my talk today is on Vas, the Vassa rain retreat, the significance of Vas. And you must be wondering as to why I chose this particular topic, the verse. Now, this is a verse that was uttered by the Buddha after a particular incident where a lady, Upasika, it is a Mahopasika, that's an elderly lady, called Matika Mata. Now, Matika Mata was living in Kosala, in the kingdom of Kosala, in Matika Gama. And you know, during that time, the time of the Buddha, the people, the bhikkhus wander about, you know, during 2 seasons. Unlike now when we say spring, autumn, winter, summer, winter, like that, there in the Indian system there are only 3 seasons. There is the cold season, the winter, then there is the summer and also the rainy season. So each 4 months. So normally the rainy season is from Asala, they take it on. They take the 4 months from there. So at the time, as you know, the bhikkhus, they want during the time of the Buddha, they wander around. It's called the Charika, the wandering. Buddha's place went from place to place. And he covered the whole of the North India. The 16 kingdoms are there, much of North India is visited. And it's by foot. So from Vajiraramaye, by foot to, say, Kapilavastu, from foot to, again, Sankhasa, all those places where people go now on their pilgrimage, using bus, limousine, and by air and everything, we do that. But the Buddha went walking. And so his disciples. So there's a short Purita and Advaita, that's the shorter circuit and the longer circuit. And sometimes, unlike today, the visit of a Buddha to a particular place, to a village, may be once in 4 years, 5 years. It's not. So it's very difficult for the people who want to listen to the sermon. and unlike these days. So they walked, and during the rainy season also, they went on their Pindapata, walked their Pindapata to find to get their food, sustenance. And during this rain season, other samanas, the samana, there is, the opposite, the Brahmana, there is the Shramanas, and there are Buddhas or disciples along the Shramanas. There was an allegation, or they were censored. There was a censorship, or even they were not very conducive. They were saying, why is it that the disciples of the Buddha, during the rainy season, why are they walking about? There is trampling during the, as you know, after summer, after the warm season, with the rain starts, and there's so much of life starts. And then you trample them. So there was the Mahavihara, the Jainas. The Jainas, they are very, very strict on this, and they're very critical of the Buddha and his disciples, saying, why is it that the Buddha's disciples are going on this during this period of Vajiraramaye? And then he gave the injunction, Anujanam Bhikkhave, that we should, all of the Sampada bhikkhus or bhikkhus should observe the rain retreat. And during the rain retreat, it's not possible for a person to go on this circuit. Or even if you go out, upon the rules laid down by the Vinaya rules, a monk has to come back to the place where he decided to observe us within 7 days, to the morning of the 7th day. It's mentioned there, I got to do that. So the reason why the rain retreat came, the rain retreat was the injunction by the Buddha was because of the criticism of the society, of the people at that time. So the Buddha was very, very, he would very sensitive to this type of criticism. The thing, as you know, all the Vinaya rules, the 227 of Vinaya rules, it's not just injunctions by Buddha, but there was an occasion, and after an occasion, there was some kind of disciplinary some transgression. Somebody reported to the Buddha, and the Buddha would say, yes, that's all. They call that person and say, all right, did this happen? Yes, you are excused, but after this is what happens. There's an injunction. There's a rule, the Vinaya rule, and the 227 Vinaya rules came up that way. So here also, it's a compulsory for a person, bhikkhu who has taken the high ordination, Sampada, bhikkhu, to observe the rain retreat, and that's why it's important. And here, these 60 months, normally what they do is they get an object of meditation from their master. In this case, the entire Buddha, from the Buddha himself, and they then go out to some place where they could have their period of fast or retreat, where they could live in seclusion. So 60 months went from Savatti, and they were wandering about, and they were passing Matika Ganga. And we were passing Matika Ganga, the Upasika, the Matika Upasika, invited them for the noon meal. And after that, asked them, why is it, where are you going, what is it? And they said, we are trying to find a place where we have shelter, and we would have practice our meditation and observe the Vinaya rules precepts. Then immediately Matika Mata invited them. Why is it that we invite you? So there is the Vassana that comes from during time of the Buddha. Before Vas, it's necessary for people to come to the bhikkhus and say, invite them. to observe the rains retreat in that particular temple or that particular place. Sometimes it's a house, a new house these days. Oh, why not, sir? Please spend the rains retreat here. That type of invitation is there. And then when it's accepted, then there are certain things which I will discuss later on. But here the Mataka Mata invited them, the 60 bhikkhus, and bhikkhus said, all right. And then immediately they have to have shelter. This is the rain season. It's not possible for them to be on trees. Normally during the other period, it's like that. The people travel and they are under trees or in a lonely place, and then they spend the time, and then they spend the day and the night, and then go on their charika, on their missions. But here they have to find a place to stay. So the most important thing is that the requisites, there are the 4 requisites. People say, please come and stay here. We'll offer you all the 4 requisites during this particular period. And the Mataka Mata invited these 60 monks, and they accepted, and they were prepared shelter. That's we call the Pansala. The party term is Pannasala. Pannasala, it just means from Pannasala, that's a house made out of thatched leaves, thatched leaves, Pannasala. So that's the Pansala came from that. So immediately you can make some shelter and then place for them to have their arms and their cushions like that. Everything they prepare and they invite. So then they had taken these 60 months. They had taken the 32 impurities as their object of meditation. It is something that, according to one's trade, there is the people who are saddha, there are people who are kama, then there are people who are getting angry according to a trade. The ashram, you can get to a meditation subject of meditation. So here, these 60 months, the meditation, the subject of meditation was the 32 impurities. And this was also explained to the chief Mataka Mata, and then she also started to meditate, and she also started trying to, following the instructions. After some time, it's happened that the Mataka Mata was able to attain the state of anatta. It's not only sotapanna, sapadagami, the higher state of anatta. And then along with anatta, reaching that state of Vasika, she also was able to got some sight powers, And through that, one day, because she looked into, she asked, find out whether the other monks, what has happened. They found that the 60 monks are still not reached. They are still grappling with their mind. They can't find solace. They can't find what you call the one-pointedness, because they were not able to get to go ahead with their meditation. And she was concerned about that. And once she went to the Vihara, and then it was there was no one there. It was all vacant. It was like an empty place. And there the gong was there. The gong, in temples they have the gong, and when you strike the gong, and that was what the 60 bhikkhus, they talked among themselves and said, all right, we go to seclusion to our temples. We will do our meditation when we come together only in the morning for the dana. And if there is any need, somebody can strike the gong and we'll get together. So the Vatika Mata came one day to the temple, and then they found that there was no one. And she struck the bell. And everyone was coming from different places to the Dhammapada. And then she asked, "What's it? Why are you coming from different directions? Why are you not talking to each other? Why are you, is it that there is dissension amongst you? What's happening? What's wrong?" And then they explained, "No, it's not so. The thing is, we have, it's among ourselves, we have agreed that we should be in secluded places differently, live separately, and come together on these places." And then she accepted that. And then she found out that they have not achieved, they have not been able to concentrate. She wanted to find out the cause. And it so happened that they were not getting adequate food. They were not adequate food. And that was a concern because, that's the Jigucha Parama Roga, the biggest Roga, that's a disease a person has, is hunger. And if there's hunger, it's not possible to get food. It's for people, they all are human. Any living being, needs food, and that is extremely important. And that's the one thing that she found out, that they were not getting adequate food. So from that onwards, she looked into these aspects, and then they were able to concentrate, and they also was able to achieve, became arahants. And that's the story of Dhammapada. And then they went back after the 3 months. The thing is that the 4 months rainy season, and the range retreat of us, period of us is 3 months. It's possible for a person, for a Sampradaya bhikkhu, to observe us from the month of Asana, from first or later on. It's called the initial or the later by 1 month. But if you take the initial at the correct month, then within 3 months, there are certain rules that you have to follow, and they are entitled to even the Patron. We will discuss that later on. But the point is that there is the first 3 months, the bhikkhus are expected to go to seclusion and then practice the Dharma, do their meditation, and achieve. And it's normally during the period of us, during the rains retreat, at the end of the rains retreat, that there are many who have observed, who have attained Sotapanna or any other stages. The whole concentration of the bhikkhus during that time is to for their personal, for their mental progress. They don't have to consider, they have to spend their time to get food. There are the other needs are met by the dieters or the person who has invited, and the only task that the bhikkhu had at that time is to concentrate, develop your mind, and attain arahanthood. And these 60 months, after when the environment was all right, when the environment was created by Dhammapada, they were able to attain, and they went to the Buddha and repeated this. The experience, that's something that's interesting. During the time of the Buddha, these groups come back to the Buddha as their teacher, and then they explain to them their experience. And the Buddha also asked, how is it? How did you have enough food, enough this thing? Those are the initial questions that are asked. How is your area? Is it sunny? And then only get into the deeper things, studying the Dhamma, discussing the Dhamma. But here too, this experience, they explain this experience, what happened, and that Matika Mata, and the support that she got from Matika Mata. And then hearing this, there was one bhikkhu who thought, I too will go there. And and then for me also, to attend Nibbana, or so it would be helpful. And he went there. And he went there, and then he too was, he was thinking, how is it the powers of Anagami with the Bhagavad, the place was given to them, and one day he thought, let there be a person who come and sweep the place, sweep the compound. A person came and swept the compound. Let me have this for my morning meal. I would like if I have this type of rice good. That came. I like that. If he wishes something, it came the next day. It happened because the Mata was able, not only was an Anagami, she has developed the ability to read others' mind. And also she was able to get the other psychic powers, certain psychic powers. And then she thought, I like to see Martha. I like to see her. And the next day she came. And she came and with the food and offered, she herself offered food to this particular monk. Then what happened? He was afraid. He went back to the Buddha and said, sir, it so happens that Mata can read our minds. And I don't like to stay there because as I'm still a little child, I'm not reached. And my mind, goes here and there. My thoughts are always not wholesome. I get unwholesome thoughts. And I don't like it, Mata to know that I have these unwholesome thoughts. And that's a fear, the fear that another person knows what you're thinking. You can outwardly you can be very calm and nice and everything, but your thoughts are still, because you are a Putujana, your thoughts could go here and there, and there it should not be also, your thoughts could anyway. So it's on that occasion that this particular verse that I in the beginning, I read out, and that's said, Unnigahasa Tabuno, Yatta Kamani where the mind wants to, it just settles there. Your mind just goes here and there, and wherever it just settles where it was. You may be here listening to Dhamma, but the mind could go somewhere else, to a problem, to an issue, or something like that, or something. It could happen. And this is what happens. No, we don't have the full concentration, is not there in us, this stage, and that's what we have to develop. So this is the reason. And then he went back, this particular monk went back, and he controlled his mind. This was, because of her, he was knowing that the Mata will know his mind. So I, with effort, tried to control myself. And I was able, and he was able to control his mind, and was able to get the meditation or the topic of meditation, and he was able to develop the mind, and finally was able to understand the true nature of things. The most important thing is that what we are doing is we try to understand the true nature of things. The true nature of things, we know about the true nature of things, but we don't understand that we have not seen it. That's the difference that we have. All of us as Buddhists, in reading, we know anicca, we know anatta, we know dukkha, we know that everything is impermanent, we know that everything what is impermanent is unsatisfactory, and the Buddha had said there is anatta, and we think that it's true, there's anatta, but the point is we still live with atta. We all are thinking with I and my and mine. The thing, that's where it is. So that we live yet with atta, and then we have to get into this situation where it's not going there anatta, but we have to realize anatta. We have to understand the word that was Janato passato, the two words, janato, that you know the word, you know it. But passato, the difficult thing, the important thing is for you to see the thing. And it is for that, the seeing, that all the Satipatthana, the various methods that are there explained by the Buddha, according one's traits, that you get the topic of meditation and you go ahead until we see what we have, what we know. So this is what it is. And the important thing is, as servants of the Buddha, also members and servants of Buddha, we are supporting, we are helping others in this whole endeavor. And then the importance of us is there are various significant factors. Now you see that, and I think before I get to that, I should mention something what the bhikkhus are doing. Now when the Ras season comes, it is very necessary, and it's mentioned, even if you are invited or not invited, you have to observe Ras. That's important. The thing is, if you are uninvited, then you are not sure of your food. You don't know, but you have to do that. During that Ras period, you can't go about searching for your food, but you have to. So that's the Buddha's injunction of that. So we go to the Sima, all of you go to the Sima. That's a consecrated place by the Bhikkhu, where all the Vinaya acts, Vinaya rules, the acts of Vinaya are in the Sima, in the boundaries. So there are certain temples there where the boundaries are. So we go to a boundary with the other monks, and we expire. So we mentioned, and we first the Patron, the 200 principles rules are recited by all of us. That is making us alert that these are the rules that we have to follow. And then we go back. After that, we go back to the temple, and there are people who invite us to stay there and to spend the Vassana. But these days, it's not that. It's not. We don't wander like in the past. We have temples, so we are permanently there. Since now I have been a monk for 8 years, and I have been at Vajiraramaye. I will not go out of the Vajiraramaye. It's there. So the point is, but even so, we take, after the invitation, we pledge ourselves. We tell us that in this place we'll spend hours. In Pali, we tell all our other members, Sangha, each one of others also, and saying, during this particular in this Vassa, we will stay in this particular place. So I spend my Vassa in this particular place. And then, so that's the pledge that I have taken on myself. And the only thing the restriction is that if I go out of this place, where I have to come back before the 7th dawn. It has to be that. If I don't return by the 7th dawn, I am, after that means I have broken the precept. I'm not entitled to certain, not the broken right to have the rule. So that's what it is. And then, so during this period, what is the significance of that? That's what it is that's important, the subject here, the significance. The significance, as you have seen from what I have mentioned, this is a period during which there is very close association between the bhikkhus and the laity. Because they come and they request to invite, and so they look after us. There's opportunities there. Opportunity to discuss Dhamma, to listen to the Dhamma. So those are opportunities that we have, that both have. So it's for the progress of both. It's not only the progress of the individual monk, also it's for the progress of the laity who associate very closely with the bhikkhus at that particular time. And this very frequent. So the frequent visits, that particular thing, that's environment, it's something that that's the significance. Much of the significance is that during that much effort is required, but each one, by the bhikkhus, especially during the Vajra, to reach our goal. And that's the most important. And what the layman people do is the layman assist in that process. If a person gets sick, then they look after the sickness and everything. And then they also, it's important that we have to remember that although all these the rules and regulations, what he preached, anyone who reach Nibbana is not necessary by anyone to be a bhikkhu or bhikkhuni to attain Nibbana. It's possible even for the lay persons. So during the Vajra season, it's the bhikkhus or the lay people also to take this into account and change their lifestyle so that they become more spiritual minded, I have to say. And the story of Madhika Mata is very something that everyone should remember. She was just Upasika, and she was able to achieve the state of Anagami even before the bhikkhus. So that means the effort is required, the way, and it's still in this particular period that you can, because all of us have the daily, the needs are there, the daily, our agenda is there, but we have to adjust it so that we spend more time with the Dhamma, we spend more time in understanding the Dhamma, and more time if possible to realize, to understand, and to see the Dhamma. The most important thing is see the Dhamma. And for that, it's very important that you also learn the Dhamma, read the Dhamma, listen to the Dhamma, and find out, if there are any questions, if there are any things that the people, the layman has in the mind about the Dhamma. Dhamma Sakacha is a blessing. Dhamma Savana is a blessing. So all these both are extremely important. And it's a period where they are committed more to attain this state of Dhamma. So this is something that about significance, the understanding of us. I think you have done that. We have also discussed some aspect of the Vajra period, and the other important thing after Vajra period is something we have to think of. So there are the Vajra period, as I mentioned earlier, it's a period of 3 months. And after 3 months, there is a thing called the Pavara. The bhikkhus of Pavara. The Pavara is very interesting because we again go to the Sima, that's the boundary, where all the ecclesiastic acts are there. And this is an occasion, in Pali, when we mentioned, please, venerable sirs, if anyone of you have heard or seen me transgressing the Vinaya rule, kindly tell me. These are opportunity to correct ourselves. We mentioned that all our brothers who are congregated in the sea, within the sea, and said, sir, I'm asking you, with all humility, if you have heard about all this sea, you have heard somebody saying that you have transgressed the Vinaya rule. And if you just see me, please tell me. Please tell me. And that's extremely important. That type of thing doesn't happen during the other period. But these are because during the Vajra period, they're expected to strictly follow the Vinaya rules and strictly, spend our time as much as possible with the Dhamma and try to understand Dhamma. So at the end of the thing, at the end of the person who has taken in the initial, the asana oil, so at the end of the 3 months, this time it will be, October 29th, I think the 10th of the period of 3 months is over. And immediately after that, they will be going, and there is a particular month After that, the 4th month is called, in Sri Lanka, we call Vajiraramaye. That's the time that we offer the Katina Chivara. So the Katina Chivara is given during that particular period. A person who has taken observed Vassana 1 month after, it's possible to observe Vassana, then other after that, within the next month also we can, but they are not entitled to accept Katina Chivara. Only those who have taken or who observe the 3 months, the first 3 months or the 4 months, this retreat or the was taken this vow, observe this resolution myself, that they can get the Katina Chivara. So it's interesting that this is, and the Katina Chivara, as you all know, it's what's happening. It's one of the greatest festivities because the bhikkhus, accordingly, we don't know what's happening, but they are pure. They have spent their time, the 3 months, and so because of they are pure, and they are better in their mind mentally. And also during the 3 months, the laymen also have followed some of these, the born on this path. They have resolved, and then they have achieved. So they are also on a higher level of this. So I think in Thailand, you take in Thailand, there are certain observances, especially with regard to alcohol and tobacco. The monks and others, that's the period where the bhikkhus and others tell the lay people, please, during this fast season, don't take liquor, don't take cigarettes, don't this, any wasteful. These are things that each person has to find one's own weakness. It's each person and try to resolve during earlier, saying this weakness I have and I will progress, and at the end of the last season I will be a better person. One person with hate, I will at the end, if my speech is not good, my speech is if I speak lies, the backbiting or anything like that, and they will say, all right, I will resolve that during this period, I will correct my speech. And then he or she, at the end of the period, can appraise himself, as together have done that. So it's a management appraisal also is done during that period. So what I said in Thailand, it happens, and it was the greatest festival where the king himself, there is the royal chariot, the royal yacht. There is a particular place where the royal yacht is kept, and the king himself comes to another place where the other temple, Alu Bihar, where he comes with all the retinue along the Chowpia River. I've seen this several times, and then offer the Katina Chivara to the monks. So it's a great festival. It's a great festival among the Buddhists, this particular period. But these are period where all of us, the lay people and the bhikkhus and everyone, have really taken to be better, taken the vow to be better. So these are important aspects. So the Pavara and the Katina Chivara is brought, as you know, the Katina Chivara, it's brought in procession. It's something not, in those days, it could be a Katina Chivara or Katina Dussa. Dussa is a cloth. Nowadays, what people do is we buy something, Katina Chivara or any robe, and we make it a Katina Chivara. But there are other ways of, of cutting. Normally, the Chivara is made by sewing what we are getting from heaps, the called dust heap or anything like that. The rags are collected, and then you break. You take the section that could be taken, that we cut it out, and then piece it together. So all these things, these robes, these are pieced together. Even you take you take a sari, it's not pieced together. But the thing is, the robe is always pieced together, and there are sections. Sugata Vidatti, there's rules and regulation within it. And that's done. And then if it's a cloth, Shivara cutting its dussa, it's a cloth. Then immediately everybody gets together, cut it, and then sometimes it's they stitch it, and then they also put the dye, the particular dye, and have it ready. And then they offer it in the evening to the sun. Now that's an interesting thing. The cutting achiever is offered to all the monks who are there who had observed the Vassana in that particular temple. It's not anyone. To all the Sangha, they just offer the Sangha. And then the Sangha has to take the Chivara to a Sima again, and then discuss amongst ourselves and say and choose the particular person who is a privilege to get the Katha Chiva. It's not him. The thing is, so the things I have got it once. That's a decision of all the monks. It's not that you can give the Katha Chiva to anyone. It's the Katha Chiva is again not given to the Sangha. And the Sangha decides among themselves as to who should get the Katha Chiva during that particular after that season. So that particular monk has certain condominiums, certain privileges, like visiting out without telling others, like that, certain things are there. The point is the important. So it's there is this whole Vas and the Avarana, that's the ending of Vas, the Katha Chiva, getting the Katha Chiva, and the person who get the Katha Chiva after the Vas is all connected with the Vinaya rules. So it's something, and that's why it's rare. You can't give a Katha Chiva, you can give it only once in one temple. You can't give two Katha Chivas in one temple, because all the monks in that temple would have observed Vas, and you can give the Katha Chiva only to one in that temple once only. So thing is, so this way, it's a rarity. When you think of life as something which is ephemeral, we do not know what happened next year or next moment, we don't know. So in such a situation, there's a possibility of giving the Katha Chiva to a person, to the Sangha, offering that is a rarity. It's something that we value, the Buddhists value them. And that's, when we say it's the Mahapada, much merit comes out with that, because so much of preparation. The thing is, when you say Mahapada, it's something, you see a beggar and you just kill it and forget it. But here, during the Vas season, 3 months of Vas, you are with the bhikkhus who are thinking of that, and then you do this Katha Chiva, and then you finally that Katha Chiva, where you all prepare for it. So all that thinking is all that we make is meritorious thinking. It's not for yourself. It's for the sasana, it's for everything, it's for your good and for the good of others. Like Mata helped 61 bhikkhus to attain Nibbana. What a great particular lady. You also, as layperson, could contribute by your support in them and giving them the necessary advice at the time you made, and then discussing things, appropriately. The discussing Dhamma, and when you discuss Dhamma, even it's important, even for the monk, they also like to advise itself in answering those. So like that is a period of completely of 4 months or 3 months plus till the Katha Chiva, a period of preparation. And because of that period, your mind as a layman, as a monk, we are always on that. We have in our temples, we say in our room, I am Vassana. We always remind us that these are Vaskara. We have to be conscious of that, these are Vaskara. And during that Vas period, that we have to develop ourselves as much as possible. So that is something important, the significance of us in the Sasana. Because when all this happens, you will see that there is unity among the Sangha. The unity. You cannot do all by oneself. They come together at the Sima, they discuss this, they tell others, please tell me what my wrongs in that period, and they may or they may not say, but the thing is that's there. But the thing is, it's all there. So they will hold 1 year. You will get this opportunity for 3 months, and that's during the rainy season. And then there is the 1 month. There is also, there we call the Chivara month, where you offer the Katana Chivara. And the offering of the Katana Chivara is also not just given a role, but it's something that is there are many rules that have been coming from the time of the Buddha. And this perpetuity of the Sasana is because of this type of thing, of these type of activities. So I think I have discussed about 1 hour. I spoken, I think I don't have maybe that's 1 hour. And so this is what I have been asked to speak on, the significance of us, the literature, and this is what I have to say as the important thing I need to remember is there is a period, even now it's only 1 month past, you make a resolution yourself, each person make a resolution and say, and monitor yourself and find out at the end of the period, when the bhikkhus also have the patronage ceremony, you also find out how you can, whether you have yourself. And in this regard, there is certain things that also we have to think of, not only of ourselves, but we have to think of society. The Buddha, during this particular time period, not only the 45 years that he spent, why did he go? He had attained Nibbana. What did he do? He attained because out of compassion to the people. He asked everybody, said, to go out. The most important thing is that that's the message of the Buddha for everyone. We have to work on the betterment of the humanity. The betterment of the humanity also means that we have to think about the environment of the surroundings. Now think of the surroundings, the environment today in this country. How can we do it? What can we do about this? Is it just not discussing that? But we can do something. Everybody can do something about this. Even something that we can do. We are speaking of climatic changes. How is it possible for each one of us to reduce our carbon footprint? How is it possible? You speak of carbon footprint. That means, if you are using your car for 7 days, 1 day you will not use the car. Not because that you can, but it's because of a concern that by using the car, what happens is there's air pollution, there's CO2, and there's so much. We are speaking of the atmospheric problems that are there. There are conferences on climate change, but we can do something about it. And that's also giving. That's something that you can do yourself. I do this because of that. Because of my concern for humanity. And that way, each one can do something. You can discuss with others. You can tell others your generosity. Now, the people are saying that in this country there is more malnutrition. They are thinking of mothers who can't get their food. What you call the pregnant mothers, the problems with our pregnant mothers. These are concerns. These are things that we should. It's not only our attaining, but there is all the paramita. The Buddha said, Dana paramita is the first thing is generosity. The generosity we can. There's so much of opportunity now for generosity. Generosity is not just given by your words, by your action. You can be generous. You can spend your time with them. Giving solace to some person. Even if you're going to a hospital, a cancer patient, speaking to them and giving solace is something you are doing your time. These are things that you have to get the Dhamma to yourself. The Dhamma is not only just practicing Dhamma, it's making the Dhamma yourself. And that's what we do. That is Vassana, that is seeing the Dhamma. It is just not repeating the Dhamma, but we have to start living the Dhamma. And by living the Dhamma, these days there's so much of opportunity right now. Think of it and do something. And that's something that we have to. Or else we just become armchair critics. If you read the paper, you will say this happens, that if I was there, this would happen, this would happen. No. The thing is just talking. But the thing is, as a Buddhist, it's not talk, or not be a talkers. They are doers. They have to do something about it. And find out those problems according to your capacity, according to your own thinking, as to how I could do. If I'm a doctor, how can I do it? If I'm an accountant, how can I do this? How can I change? According to my profession, my understanding, how can I change? What could I give to society to make the society a better society? So these are things that has to be done. So thank you very much. And with those words, I'd like to finish my sermon. And should I meditate? Yes. So I will end by transferring merit to the departed and also bearers. Tavata ehi sambadam punya sampadan sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Tavata ehi sambadam punya sampadan sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Tavata ehi sambadam punya sampadan sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Dhamme yati nandoti sukhita puntu yatiyo. Idam me yati nandoti sukhita puntu yatiyo. Idam me yati nandoti sukhita puntu yatiyo.